you're making over 200K a year delivering high-level services, then you don't have time to be a social media or a TikTok influencer. But you know it's too risky for you to rely on referrals, and ad budgets can be too expensive sometimes. So I made this video for you. Because by the end of this video, I'm going to show you my podcast, the Parachute System, that allows you to create 30 days of authority content in just 30 minutes of effort. Now, if you're new to the channel, I'm Quintel Harcum. I founded Good Parting Company. That's what you see right there. That was my plant-based health cafe and juice bar. And I used this method for this juice bar to land a $700,000 contract with Johns Hopkins to help them open up their first ever juice bar and health cafe. And now I help other service professionals use this method to do the same thing to get more clients and bigger partnerships. So this is exactly what happened with my juice bar. I started out making my own content because I had time getting things going. And then eventually I got busy behind the counter at the juice bar. So I outsourced it to an agency and they created this content for me. And it was really generic, right? It looked pretty good. It's very polished. It has a good tone, like the Lightroom effect is pretty good, but you can see it's a lot of stock imagery here. We got the person squeezing lemons here, squeezing lemons there, some bananas, some grapes. All of these things are good. They're on brand, but they're not my brand. And if it wasn't for some of the photos of myself or the models from the school and pictures of my product shots, it would be all stock imagery. Even this testimonial, it's a real testimonial, but it's a pretty vanilla kind of graphic, right? So what I did was I said, thanks, I appreciate it, but now I'm going to take over. So I went and took over the social media, and this is what happened after I fired the agency. I started to capture what I was doing in the shop because I realized those types of posts resonated more. So as you can see here, this is me literally in the shop just drinking juice or live inside the gym that's attached to the that's at the Johns Hopkins campus. And then I shot like little mini series right at the juice bar. I was like, why not? So I just started shooting little mini series there, still using product shots, but all of these things started to be more authentic there, right? Like even the product shot with this hat, it looks like it's a regular product shot, but it's actually inside of the cafe. But not only that, I started to get into the behind the scenes vibes. And that's what really helped things take off because I'm showing exactly what I'm doing day to day. This is me at the cafe, at the counter. You can see me nurturing my plants. You can see the students inside the juice bar. These are the things that build real authority. They show me doing exactly what I do for my clients or here for my customers and for my business, for my staff. And with all of this behind the scenes vibe, people got to understand that I was actually a certified holistic nutritionist. And that led to me getting coaching clients, which originally wasn't a part of my business plan. So I started getting coaching clients just by demonstrating authority and not only building business, but also offering services and having knowledge and understanding of my niche in my industry. That's why a system like this is so great for service professionals, because service professionals win on authority, not chasing trends or trying to be something that you're not on social media. You need to prove that you know your stuff. And so what you can do to get this going is you pick one core content asset, something that's 30 minutes or more, like a video podcast. It could be a client consultation. It could be a team training. Like I spent a lot of time with my staff, and you may do the same thing with your staff. So if you got a recorded team training or a sales call, and you could take that and then you could transform that and repurpose it into content that goes out across all of the social media platforms. And so here's how that system actually looks. This is the podcast, the Parachute System. I prefer video podcasts, but if you have video calls, video sales trainings, those things work just as well. So you have your video, your one core content asset, and then you repurpose it using AI, a really smart, intelligent AI that I'm going to break down for you later in the video. That AI can post it across long form text and video, short form text and video, and then these are all of the formats that you can get just by using this system. You can get podcast show notes, you get newsletters, blog posts, LinkedIn posts, TikTok videos, reels, if you are doing some business overseas, WhatsApp, Telegram, if you may have the SMS situation going on there. So you can use one piece of content, one video piece of content, and transform and repurpose it into multiple formats and multiple pieces of content. Now you see the system and you understand how powerful it is, because you don't have to write all these posts from scratch. You don't have to recreate the wheel every time you show up to get on social media. All you have to do is repurpose your expertise and share that with your audience, who eventually will become your clients and your prospects. Now let's get into how we actually execute on it, because that looks like a lot, right? It's a lot of different formats, a lot of different platforms. How do you edit all of it? How do you write all of those posts? You don't. You let AI handle it. Now, I prefer to use Claude skills. You can use custom GPTs. You can use custom Gemini gems, but I prefer Claude skills because Claude skills are built for repetitive tasks that use template to execute exactly how you want it to. So let's do a quick demo. So this is what you see right here. This is a quick screenshot of my Claude, but I'm just going to take us right into it. This is Claude here. When you go into settings and you go into capabilities, if you're new to it, you go into capabilities, Claude has a feature called skills. So right beneath memory, you have skills. Here are all of the skills that I have set up. And since I prefer video podcasts, I use my skills to transform video podcasts into different types of content that I use. I have a newsletter. I like to use threads. I post a lot on LinkedIn. So if we zoom in just a little bit more, you can see a description of what is in the skill. So turn the podcast transcript into a concise, story-driven email newsletter, because those are the kind of newsletters I write. You can write short, punchy, 3-line posts for threads. That's my writing style. Or you can turn it into a LinkedIn post. So let's do a quick example of turning a podcast into a LinkedIn post. Here's one of my most recent podcasts. I had a talk with the executive director of the Baltimore Chamber of Commerce. So I'm going to copy this real quick. We're going to drop in that transcript, and then we're going to tell it, use the pod to LinkedIn skill to write a 300-word LinkedIn post related to this transcript attached. All right, so that's the pod to LinkedIn skill. I use the Whisperflow voice dictation tool, so if you're interested in checking it out, there's a link in the description. It's really easy. It makes everything a lot faster when you're using AI or you have to do a lot of typing. So let's run this prompt real quick and let's see what we get. Now with the post, Claude is going to go and check this skill and see what the details are for this skill. So there it is reading the pod to LinkedIn skill specifically. Inside of this skill, I told it has to have a CTA, it has to have a hook that's a certain type of way, just a certain way that I write my actual LinkedIn post. And so that's what I gave to Claude. So let's see what it gets. All right, now, so with this post, you see how it's written here at the top? This lets you know it's following directions. Many business owners think being certified or having the right degree is enough. So it's trying to be a little bit spicy with the hook. It could be spicier than this, but the best part, or the part that I want the most, is that it's formatted for mobile viewing on LinkedIn. So you have one line, space, and then one more line. And it hits you with, it isn't, right? So it's like a contrarian way of thinking already. At the very end, do you want the full breakdown? Watch the episode link here, because it knows that the CTA is to get people to watch the full episode here on YouTube. So it goes in, gives a synopsis, it gives 5 highlights, 5 bullet points. Those are the types of those are the instructions that I gave it from my podcast. And so there we have it, a really good LinkedIn post. You can go in and edit this some, make some things better, but it already has my tone. It already has everything formatted, so it makes it a lot faster for me. Now, really quick, if you have a podcast and you're using the script, you're probably thinking, well, if I had the script, I can just use the Underlord AI component or ChatGPT or any other AI LLM for that matter to write my LinkedIn post or my newsletter. And you can, but it's going to write you a generic newsletter. It's not going to sound like you, or you're going to have to give it a prompt every time, give it a format every time, tell it your tone every time in order for you to write it the way that you want, so that you have authentic, authority style content that comes directly for you. Because believe it or not, your clients and your customers are smarter than you think they are. If you're using AI and you're just throwing up anything, they can tell that it's AI written. It's what we call AI slop, and we don't want that. So we want to give it something that's structured, that's formatted, and that actually sounds like you, so it can have the weight and have the reality of you, the person that actually created it. So here are a few other examples of me using this system. I did a podcast with one of the top 500 realtors in Baltimore. We clipped that up. It became some scroll stopping clips. We got some really good engagement. He talks about how he does property matchmaking, how he actually gets clients from social media. And then I did an on the spot interview with one of my clients, and it became a super high engaging post where we got a lot of people requesting for the lead magnet. You can see we have all of the comments here, how many times it was shared. That led to people who want to work with him or get some people that they know referrals for his behavioral health business. Now, you saw how I use this for myself, for my podcast guests, and for my clients. But here's why this is really so powerful. Because there's a rule called the 70-11-4 rule. And I learned about this from Daniel Priestley. I was a member of his Key Person of Influence Accelerator, and he put me onto it. So I want to give him credit for that. And he shares it in other content as well. But the rule goes that you need 7 hours of engagement, 11 touch points, and across 4 platforms for people to buy with you, right? But if you're a business owner or operator, you really don't have time for all of that, okay? But when you use this system, it takes care of that for you automatically. So you use that one source of content, right? That one core content source. And then you take that, it breaks it down, and then you can post it and publish it across any of the 4 platforms that you want if you're trying to, work by this principle and by this rule. Now you start racking up watch time. You're getting closer and closer. You're surpassing that 7 hours. You're getting the 11 touch points. That's when people stop to watch your video. If they click on your video on YouTube, if they click on your bio, they click on your website, they leave a comment, they leave a like. All of that is engagement. Those are touch points. All of those things matter when you're using the podcast parachute system. All of those things add up to more of your audience becoming prospects, and those prospects becoming clients. So go set up this podcast parachute system. You only need one core content asset. I highly recommend you make it some kind of video asset. And always remember that you're not creating content. You don't have to become a content creator. That's not your job. Your job is to just capture your expertise. So you can just set up a camera where you're working, let the camera do its job, and then you can clip it up, repurpose it, and then distribute it across the platforms that works best for you in your business. Now, if you want to see how I set up this and other AI systems, I do deeper dives in my newsletter. You can subscribe at the second link in the description. Or if you want me to install a podcast parachute system into your business so that you don't have to worry about creating content every week, every day, and it burning you out, click the first link in the description and book a call. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you install one of these systems so you can start building authority online and get more ideal prospects. Give me a like, subscribe if you got any questions, leave it in the comments, and I'll check you out in the next video.